至於將來喺以色列嘅國境裏面所發生嘅哈米吉多頓大戰，正係為咗建立一個所謂大以色列嘅地區，目的係要鞏固世界帝國喺耶路撒冷所建立嘅世界司法同埋宗教首都嘅安全，作為緩衝嘅地帶。為咗要確保以色列核心地區嘅安全，大以色列作為一個大緩衝區係有必要建立嘅。哈米吉多頓大戰正係主要為呢個嘅目的而打嘅。奧德賢朗係一個駐以色列外交部嘅記者，佢早於喺1982年發表咗一篇名為《以色列在20世紀80年代嘅策略》嘅政策討論文章。呢位以色列嘅評論員認為，以色列若要保持佢嘅區域優勢，就必須要將佢嘅周邊嘅阿拉伯國家削弱、分割，成為細小嘅單位。呢篇文章後嚟稱為元朗計劃。呢個計劃暗示咗要將阿拉伯人同埋呢個穆斯林帶入一個互相殺戮、無止休嘅宗派戰爭之中。而實際上呢個嘅做法不但可以令以色列得到安全，亦都可以將以色列嘅安全緩衝區擴大，從北面嘅幼發拉底河伸延至南面嘅尼羅河，然後大以色列就可以建立起嚟啦。因此，根據佢哋嘅計劃，以色列周圍嘅同嗰啲威脅以色列生存嘅國家都必須要被削弱同埋分割，甚至被顛覆。美國自2001年起將呢個計劃嚟到執行，然而美國稱之為大中東計劃。而家等一位美國前4星上將韋斯利同你去講述一啲詭異嘅事實。
2007年，一位曾任北大西洋公約組織 NATO 嘅歐洲盟軍司令部美國退休4星將軍 Wesley Ken Clark 喺一個講座中提及，喺2001年911事件發生後冇幾耐，國防部曾經發出一個指令，就係喺5年內攻擊同埋推翻7個國家，包括敘利亞、伊拉克、黎巴嫩、利比亞、索馬利、蘇丹同埋伊朗。雖然呢個國防計劃並未有喺5年內完成，美國藉住阿拉伯之春同埋反恐戰爭，呢7個國家有啲已經被推翻，有啲陷入內戰，有啲亦都已經係崩潰嘅邊緣。因此，世界局勢、國家嘅被推翻，並唔係人民作出偶然或者自發嘅行動而造成，相反係經過精心策劃同埋計算。事實上，如果要推翻一個國家，以內部革命導致崩潰嘅方式，遠比出兵攻打便宜得多。
What happened in 9/11 is we didn't have a strategy, we didn't have bipartisan agreement, we didn't have American understanding of it, and we had instead a policy coup in this country. A coup. A policy coup. Some hard-nosed people took over the direction of American policy, and they never bothered to inform the rest of us. I went through the Pentagon 10 days after 9/11. I couldn't stay away from Mother Army. I went back there to see Don Rumsfeld. I'd worked for him as a White House fellow in the 1970s. All this is in the book. And I said, am I doing okay on CNN? He said, yeah, fine. He said, I'm thinking about it. He says, I read your book. And he said, this is a book that talks about the Kosovo campaign. And he said, I just want to tell you, he said, nobody's going to tell us where or when we can bomb. Nobody. He said, I'm thinking of calling this a floating coalition. What do you think about that? I said, well, sir, thanks for reading my book. And, he said, thanks, that's all the time I've got. Really? And I went downstairs. I was leaving the Pentagon, and an officer from the Joint Staff called me into his office, and he said, I want you to know, he said, sir, we're going to attack Iraq. And I said, why? He said, we don't know. He said, I said, well, did they tie Saddam to 9/11? He said, no. He said, but I guess they don't know what to do about terrorism, and so they think, but they can attack states, and they want to look strong, and so I guess they think if they take down a state, it will intimidate the terrorists. And you know, it's like that old saying, he said, if the only tool you have is a hammer, then every problem has to be a nail. Well, I walked out of there pretty upset, and then we attacked Afghanistan. I was pretty happy about that. We should have. And then I came back to the Pentagon about 6 weeks later. I saw the same officer. I said, why haven't we attacked Iraq? We still going to attack Iraq? He said, oh, sir. He says, it's worse than that. He said, he pulled up a piece of paper off his desk. He said, I just got this memo from the Secretary of Defense's office that says we're going to attack and destroy the governments in 7 countries in 5 years. We're going to start with Iraq, and then we're going to move to Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Iran. I said, 7 countries in 5 years. I said, is that a classified memo? He said, yes, sir. I said, well, don't show it to me. He was about to show it to me. He said, because I want to talk about it. And I sat on this information for a long time, for about 6 or 8 months. I was so stunned by this, I couldn't begin to talk about it. And I couldn't believe it would really be true.
韋斯理上將所提供嘅，實在令人感到非常不安同埋困惑。對佢嚟講，一位身居高位嘅國防部嘅官員，點可能連自己嘅國家喺5年內要將7個國家拿下嘅原因都唔知道啦？呢個梗係啦，美國所採取嘅行動係回應假猶太人預先所定嘅計劃。試問美國點會有一啲具體同埋充分嘅理由要向呢啲國家採取軍事行動呢？因此，美國必須要揾一啲嘅藉口嚟削弱同埋顛覆呢啲嘅國家。譬如講啊，佢哋喺國內炮製咗一幕嘅911恐怖襲擊事件，打造一個恐怖威脅嘅環境。佢哋大可以以反恐為理由，就可以隨意指控伊拉克擁有大殺傷力武器，然後輕而易舉咁樣喺2003年將伊拉克摧毀，並且將薩達姆殺死。佢哋也創造另一個威脅，就係伊斯蘭國，讓佢哋可以以對付伊斯蘭國為藉口，喺2014年再次入侵伊拉克以及入侵敘利亞。不如先讓大家去聽一聽奧巴馬喺2014年9月10日所發表對付伊斯蘭國嘅一番話。
I can announce that America will lead a broad coalition to roll back this terrorist threat. Our objective is clear. We will degrade and ultimately destroy ISIL through a comprehensive and sustained counterterrorism strategy. First, we will conduct a systematic campaign of airstrikes against these terrorists. Working with the Iraqi government, we will expand our efforts beyond protecting our own people and humanitarian missions so that we're hitting ISIL targets as Iraqi forces go on offense. Moreover, I've made it clear that we will hunt down terrorists who threaten our country wherever they are. That means I will not hesitate to take action against ISIL in Syria. I will not hesitate to take action against ISIL in Syria. I will not hesitate to take action against ISIL in Syria as well as Iraq. This is a core principle of my presidency. If you threaten America, you will find no safe haven.
你睇下，美國係幾咁容易可以為推翻敘利亞嚟揾一個藉口。喺2011年，美國指責利比亞政府使用重型武器殺害自己嘅人民，北約就可以侵略利比亞，並且將卡達菲殺死。整個利比亞現時仍然陷於一片混亂之中，全國生靈塗炭。當20個埃及基督徒被伊斯蘭國殺死之後，以美國為首嘅聯軍以除滅伊斯蘭國為理由，喺2015年嘅2月初再次襲擊喺利比亞嘅伊斯蘭武裝分子。截至目前，剛才所談及嘅7個國家中，其中6個已經或者係正在被削弱、分割或顛覆。雖然伊朗係唯一一個還未被攻打嘅國家，但佢快將會最終成為被美國攻擊嘅目標。我話俾你知啊，伊朗喺不久嘅將來將會跌入美國同埋以色列嘅陷阱裏邊，加入以美國為首嘅聯軍到米吉多平原，喺哈米吉多頓大戰中攻打伊斯蘭國同埋以色列嘅。到嗰陣時，伊朗將會被摧毀。等一位假猶太人介紹佢哋嘅想法俾你啦。
Today, we here at Klavan on the Culture would like to lay out what we consider the only plan likely to bring tranquility, freedom, and justice to the region. The one-state solution in which the entire Middle East is given to the Jews. That That's right. The one-state solution is it would not only help the Palestinians, but would instantly achieve the noblest goals of the so-called Arab Spring. For instance, turning the entire Middle East into one big Israel will secure religious freedom for everyone in the area. Big Israel, big Israel, big Israel, big Israel.
假猶太人將耶路撒冷改變成為世界宗教嘅崇拜中心，呢種想法係非常符合聖經對耶路撒冷嘅預言。啟示錄11章8節預言，神嘅2位見證人被殺之後，佢哋嘅屍首就倒在大城嘅街上。這城按着靈意叫所多瑪，又叫埃及，就是他們的主釘十字架之處。聖經指出呢個大城係主耶穌被釘十字架嘅地方。我哋都知道主耶穌係喺耶路撒冷城被釘十字架嘅。呢位係大衛古利安，以色列嘅第一任總理。當佢仲在任總理嘅期間，喺1962年嘅1月16日，佢喺生活雜誌發表咗佢預期耶路撒冷所扮演嘅角色嘅睇法。佢話聯合國喺耶路撒冷將建立一所神廟，俾先知去服務世界各聯邦大洲，正如以賽亞嘅預言。呢個神廟係人類最高法院嘅所在地，用嚟解決所有聯邦大洲之間嘅紛爭。假猶太人亦想將耶路撒冷呢個神聖嘅城市改變成為充滿好多埃及異教神靈嘅城市，例如耶路撒冷到處所飄揚嘅六角星旗啊，正係撒旦象徵嘅標誌，而係埃及英神荷魯斯嘅標記。關於呢個六角星，我有3件事想提醒大家。首先，六角星並唔係大衛之星。其次，古代嘅人喺宇宙同埋行星魔法作法嘅時候呢，佢哋成日以六角星嚟代替天空上面嘅土星，而古巴比倫人呢係將土星係配俾撒旦嘅。大家而家所見到嘅呢一座喺1992年興建嘅大樓，就係以色列最高法院，佢坐落喺耶路撒冷以色列國會嘅對面聖殿山嘅西邊。敵基督將會坐喺呢度去統治全世界噶啦。羅斯柴家族送俾以色列政府呢片土地嚟建造最高法院，佢哋亦用自己嘅建築師同埋贊助全部嘅建設費用。佢哋花咗4年嘅時間，將好多埃及嘅偶像崇拜設置喺呢座嘅建築物之中。例如呢個就係埃及金字塔嘅頂端同埋全視之眼，正如喺1美元嘅鈔票上面左側圓圈之中嘅埃及金字塔同埋頂端嘅全視之眼一樣啦。呢個全視之眼亦都係埃及太陽神奧西里斯嘅眼睛啦。此外，喺法院嘅外庭裏面呢，樹立咗一座同美國白宮朝東同一樣嘅方尖碑。呢啲方尖碑呢，係古代埃及人用嚟崇拜太陽神嘅。如果我哋將目光從最高法院向外睇，我哋亦都可以見到呢，喺以色列嘅國會大樓上面有好多面嘅以色列嘅國旗，其中嘅六角星就係好似1美元鈔票上面右側圓圈之中嘅大鷹頭上面嘅六角星啦。呢粒星就係埃及人所稱之為嘅里凡星啦，係鷹神荷魯斯之星，而鷹神荷魯斯亦都係太陽神奧西里斯嘅仔啦。